All right. DAX, right? Powerful stuff, especially when you're knee deep in Excel, trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you've been wrestling with this remove filters function a bit, trying to really get a handle on it, right? So we're going to do a deep dive today into this specific function. And actually, you sent me a little snippet. I think it was like straight from the documentation.
Right? Yeah.
Let's break this down like piece by piece.
Okay. So the syntax for this is looks a little intimidating, at first glance, but it's remove filters. And then in parentheses, you've got a table and then a pipe, which means and then you can optionally put in columns.
All right.
So you can have multiple columns in there.
So it's like giving you options. You can either go like table wide.
Exactly.
Or really target it down.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you imagine like a giant spreadsheet, right?
Oh.
And it's got like all this information about all your different products, and you've got like blue widgets and red widgets and green widgets.
Right.
And you filter it down so you're only seeing the blue widgets.
Okay.
The remove filters is like hitting the clear button on those filters and then seeing all the products again.
Oh, okay.
So you go from this very specific view back to the big picture.
Gotcha. So it's almost like trying to think of a good
analogy.
Yeah, there it is. It's like I don't know, like if you had like a really powerful telescope.
Okay.
And you're like really zoomed in on, one specific star or planet, and then you're like, okay, I want to see the whole galaxy again. It's like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, there was this other thing in the documentation that kind of threw me for a loop. It said something about the return value being like NA.
Right.
And then like C remarks.
Yeah.
I don't what does that even mean?
Yeah. So a lot of DAX functions, right, they give you back like a number. They do a calculation where they give you back like a table of results.
Right.
Remove filters is a little bit different because it's not actually calculating anything. What it's doing is it's like changing your perspective of the data that's already there.
So it's not giving you like new data. It's just like changing how you see it.
Exactly. It's like if you had, it's more of an action, right, than a calculation.
Okay. So is that why I think there was a note about it not really working in direct query mode?
Right.
For like calculated columns and stuff like that?
Yeah. So direct query mode is, it's basically a way to work with data that's like really, really big without actually having to import all that data into Excel.
Right.
So you're like directly connected to like a database or something.
So like a live connection.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so because of that live connection, you can't really do like these on the fly kind of like, instant refilterings of everything. Especially if you've got like calculated columns where the data is like being generated, dynamically.
Right.
Or if you have row level security where you're like only allowed to see certain rows of data. And so in those cases, remove filters, it's not going to work. But there are ways to work around it.
Really?
Yeah, there are other DAX functions that you can use to kind of get a similar result.
Okay.
Or you can adjust your query to basically get the same data, but without using remove filters.
Okay, so even though it has those limitations in direct query mode, it sounds like there are still ways to like get that same kind of like zoom out, effect that you were talking about earlier.
Right. Exactly.
Huh. That's really interesting. So this is way more like powerful than I initially thought, even with those like limitations.
Yeah. I mean, you can really you can really manipulate how you're viewing the data. And really like get a lot of insights from using this function.
I bet.
What are some of the ways that you think you could use this in your own work?
Oh man. I mean, off the top of my head, I can already think of like, those times where you're, you filter down to something really specific and then you're like, wait, how does this compare to like the whole data set? Right. And then you've got to like clear all the filters and refilter, and it's a pain.
Exactly.
This just like instantly does it.
Yeah.
And then I'm also thinking like, if you were mentioning like combining it with other DAX functions, and like what if you could like, I don't know, have it like dynamically like clear the filters based on, I don't know, like certain conditions or calculations.
So yeah.
Like that'd be pretty cool.
Okay.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? This deep dive into remove filters is more than just like, memorizing syntax. It's about understanding like the power and flexibility this gives you.
Yeah.
So think about your own work in Excel. Do you ever find yourself needing to quickly compare like filtered and unfiltered data? Could this function like totally streamline your analysis, like really unlock some new insights for you? Because, it might seem like a simple function on the surface, but it could like legit turn you into like an Excel ninja.
Absolutely.
Like seriously. Yeah. That's some powerful stuff right there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we successfully unpacked that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
Cool.